Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the North Rock School Board meeting here in North Rock, Arkansas with the proud Superintendent Gregory Pulaski. At this time, we are open for public comments, but a reminder to you in your public comments, you cannot at any time discuss personnel. That's the naming of anyone that's hired in the district. You can address your concerns, and that is permissible, but without names. And the people that are speaking, we only need to hear one concern of the same thing. So hopefully everything is different. And at this time, I will open for public comments. And the first person that I have is Mr. Richard Tatum.
Hello, board, and
Excuse me, Mr. Tatum. You will only have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
okay. Thank y'all very much, and thank you, board and superintendent, for allowing me to speak. I just had 3 things to address: a compliment, a question, and a concern. The compliment is that I've noticed since about middle of last school year into the beginning of this year, communications coming from the district have been a little bit better. In years past, I've gotten like 3 or 4 of the same emails, some things that don't pertain to my kids at a different school. I've gotten stuff in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I'm glad we provided in Spanish, but I don't speak Spanish. So I was getting all kinds of stuff, and that seems to have been reined in, and information I'm getting is pertinent, and it usually is timely coming out of the district. So I just wanted to offer that compliment. Thank y'all for that. My question, and I know that this will not be answered now, but is pertaining to, in one of the previous meetings, there was a mention of funding secured for a new middle school. And I'm questioning, is this going to be a relocation of students where we will just have a new school, or will there be 2 schools? If in the event that there are indeed 2 schools, how do we maintain resource parity, meaning that the technology at one school is equal to that at the other school, the facilities are maintained? For instance, like at the current school, there's air conditioning issue. How do we make sure that the new school has air conditioning and the old one has it too? So those are questions I have, but mainly just, is there going to be 1 school or 2, and then how do we have resource parity? And then my concern is, as a parent of 7th Street Elementary students and as the president of the PTA at 7th Street, last year we lost a lot of teachers who were not retained. A lot of this was talking about bringing in the best and brightest of the teachers we could get. Our reigning teacher of the year was not retained. And so that says that we have some problems with teachers, but then it was mentioned earlier, not in the last meeting, that 7th Street actually grew academically last year. So that makes me concerned about the fact that we got rid of so many teachers from a school that actually grew. And I'd like to know exactly, how do we plan to avoid this in the future, getting rid of really good teachers over poor performance that actually did not manifest after the point. And with that, I'll yield my time.
Thank you. At this time, we'll hear from Ms. Katie Middleton. Mrs. or Miss?
It's Miss
Okay,
Middleton. Yes.
Ms. Middleton.
Good afternoon, Dr. Pulaski and members of the board. My name is Katie Middleton, and my daughter attends Crestwood Elementary. She is going into 2nd grade. I would first like to express how much I love our school. The teachers, the staff, the building administration, the parents, and the students are what make us a family. And that's why so many of us are here today, not just to support Crestwood, but to support our whole community. Honestly, I've gone back and forth about if I was going to get up and talk today, and there's several reasons for that. But mostly because I knew I could not voice all my concerns in 3 minutes. However, in light of negative and hostile comments that were made on a Crestwood Facebook post on the 2nd day of school by a board member, I feel compelled to be in front of you today. At the July General Board meeting, I heard 3 board members state that we need to remember why we are here. I quote, We are here for the students. We are student-based. I would like to say that I 1,000% agree with that comment. We are here for our students, and those students, they're our children. Those students are our babies. They're our heart, and we are their advocates, and that's why I'm here today. I'm also here to support the teachers and the staff of our school who have poured their hearts into my daughter. At the end of the last general meeting, a board member glared out at the public at the end in a condescending and hostile tone and said, I quote, "I pray all you parents are listening." Well, I am here to deliver good news. Her prayer has been answered. We are listening. We are listening to our children. We are listening to the students. We are listening to the teachers across the district. We are gathering information and data. We are asking questions. We are advocating. We are reading. We are watching, and we are learning. And finally, we are here to listen to Dr. Paluski and the members of the board. This is what parental involvement looks like. And rather than attacking concerned parents, I sincerely hope that you all see this involvement for what it really is. It is student-based. It is a bright light for the future of our children to have parents that care this much and they're listening this intently. Now, I will share my prayer with everyone. I pray that you all are listening, that you are keeping an open mind, and that you will have the true appreciation for why we are all here, the love we have for our kids, and the importance that we place on good education. Thank you.
And thank you. Mrs. Amy Friedman?
No, that's not me.
Mrs. or Miss?
Friedman.
Okay.
I don't really even know the proper
You
Mrs.
can take the mic out. Okay.
Hello, board members and Dr. Paluski. I wanted to follow up from my comments from last month regarding teacher morale. Since that time, I've received positive feedback regarding my suggestion as a liaison between the teachers and administration. I've had 2 productive meetings with Dr. Paluski, and I've already started the process of relaying the teachers' concerns directly to the administration, as well as to several school board members. I will also continue regular meetings with Dr. Paluski to follow up on action plans to address these concerns and communicate new issues as they are reported. I wanted to thank Dr. Paluski and the members of the school board for their willingness to entertain this suggestion. I'm looking forward to seeing our progress over the coming school year. To any teachers who are listening, please contact me with any concerns. Message me on Facebook, and I can send you my contact information. Thank you.
And thank you. Mrs. Laura Hicks.
Hi, it's Laura Matthew Hicks.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you guys for listening to my comments tonight. So yes, I'm Laura Matthew Hicks. I'm joined by my husband, Mr. Adam Hicks. I am a lifelong North Little Rock resident. I am a very proud North Little Rock educator going on 19 years. I've taught grandkids, some of your grandkids actually, and I love them, and I know exactly who they are and whose classroom they were in when I had them. I have taught 11 different grade levels at 5 different schools in North Little Rock. In fact, I have some kids that I taught in kindergarten that are now in my classes, senior in high school. It's the coolest thing ever. I achieved my national board certification in this school district during pandemic times, no less. So I say all that to say I am not new to the goings-on during the beginning of school. I'm here for it. We roll with it. We do what we have to do. I'm actually coming here tonight, though, as a mama, because not only am I a proud teacher, I'm a proud parent of 2 kids. They go to school in North Little Rock School District. Arthur is in 4th grade, and Florence is in 1st grade at Crestwood Elementary. About this time last week, we were taking our kids to open house at Crestwood, excited, backpacks full of supplies to drop off in rooms. I knew last year, when Florence was in kindergarten, there were 4 kindergarten classes. I knew at Crestwood there had only been 3, so I was kind of interested how are they going to solve that disparity. But as a proud North Little Rock resident, an employee, I know that we have people who are going to take care of that. So I was not concerned. You can imagine my disappointment when I arrived to her school. It was quickly followed by anger, and that's not a word I used to describe myself often at all, to look at my daughter's class list and see she and 20 other firsties have no teacher. They also have no room, so they're housed in the STEAM lab because there's no more first grade classrooms. A first grade classroom should have a class library. It should have a visually rich environmental text in their room. They should have anchor charts. They should have name tags on their table. They should have a first grade teacher. So, unbeknownst to me, that same scenario was also playing out down the hall in third grade. Same thing, parents bringing their children to meet their teachers, only to find out that the solution, our district that I'm proud to be a part of, the solution was to create overflow classes 2 hours before open house, before families were coming onto campus. Knowing Crestwood staff would take the time and energy away from their already full plates to make these children feel as welcome as they could, because that's what the children deserve and that's what good teachers do. So I understand our district has moved teachers from 2 other schools to make up for the lack of planning. 2 teachers who had already prepared their classrooms at that school greeted their students on open house. They now have to pick up and move to a new location 1 day before the first day of school. Staff at that school are having to absorb and accommodate, so the ripples continue.
3 minutes. 3 minutes is up.
Oh, 3 minutes up.
He's next.
Okay.
I'm on the list. So 2 teachers who had already prepared their classrooms, greeted their students at open house, now had to pick up and move to a new location 1 day before the start of school. Staff at that school are now having to absorb their students to accommodate having 2 fewer teachers. The ripples continue. Our question is, why was this allowed to happen at all? The way this problem was handled was not acceptable. It tells me and us that whatever person or team came up with the solution must be very far removed from working in an elementary school building or with children in general. So what's done is done. Crestwood has scrambled and covered and is taking care of those babies the best we can hope for, the same that Boone Park is, as you knew they would. So we're going to close with this. In our family and in our classrooms, when we make a mistake, we own it. We apologize to our kids. We do what needs to be done to repair the breach that we have caused. Someone in the district, in this building, has made a mistake, one that has caused grief to many families in our district. Lots of tears I saw at open house. Kids, parents, teachers. If you're truly interested in repairing this breach, families and school staff are owed an apology and assurances of the steps the district is taking to keep this from happening again. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Okay, were you Mr. Adam Hicks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Miss Amy Webb.
Good evening, Dr. Paluski and the board. This is my 4th grade daughter, Jessie. She wants to bang the gavel later, if you'll let her. So I'm here tonight as a frustrated parent who loves this district, knows that you guys love this district, but feel like the board is not listening. Initially, I have come to the board with concerns. I've emailed about those concerns. And when I've raised concerns, they have been dismissed or entirely ignored. Initially, my concerns were about the lowest performing schools, the lack of teachers, morale, and now those issues are spilling over into our highest performing school. As you've heard, there have been issues at Crestwood. The new kindergarten teacher for the class that was hastily put together on the day of open house is not certified. And as I understand it, there are at least 2 uncertified teachers at Crestwood Elementary, which is a highly sought after school that has never had trouble getting well-qualified teachers. Cramming 2 extra classes in at the last minute also left our STEAM lab without a classroom, which means that she uses a cart and goes around the school, and thousands of dollars of STEAM equipment sits unused and not accessible by our kids. Morale at the school is down because of the decisions that have been made. These decisions have not been strategic or collaborative. They have been destructive to the district and the community. Crestwood has been a shining star in the district for years and probably saved us from going into state takeover at some point. Sadly, it feels like Crestwood is slowly being dismantled. Like rather than bringing up the other schools to the standard that Crestwood has set, you want to bring Crestwood down so that the others don't look so like they're struggling. Students are transferring into this district because of Crestwood. And if it falls apart, what is the district going to do to try to get extra money? And if these issues are happening at our highest performing school, what is happening at our lower performing schools? And who is protecting those kids? I'm doing my part. I am volunteering. I'm on the PTA at Crestwood and the middle school. And I am asking the board to do your part. Hold the administration accountable. And I've talked to Dr. Paluski. I like a lot of his ideas. I support some great things you've done with Crestwood. I think you hired a phenomenal athletic director. But I don't think you guys are listening to the parents and the teachers. Maybe you are and you think we're just being ridiculous. And sometimes I'm certain that we can be, but we are not being ridiculous about this issue. We are concerned. So please hold them accountable. If they say they're going to get feedback from teachers, make sure they get that feedback. If they're going to tell teachers that they can have time during the early release day for planning, make sure they get that time to plan. They need that. And ask hard questions. This is an amazing district. I know everybody loves this district, and I don't mean to sound combative.
3 minutes.
But I am a parent who wants to see this district succeed for all kids.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Webb. Okay, Ms. Josie George. Mrs.?
Mrs. Fine. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
All right.
Board, Dr. Paluski. I'm Josie George. I'm an attorney here in Little Rock. I have a super cool third grader at Crestwood Elementary, and I'm also your Crestwood Elementary PTA president. So if you need anything, I'm here, okay? Before I go too far, I do want to say thank you for being here and doing what y'all do, because I know that showing up it takes a lot of time and that takes a lot of energy, and I appreciate the people who are willing to be in this room because I know we all care about the kids. I'm actually not here to tell you all more about Crestwood. I think that my friends have done a phenomenal job of covering those bases. I was actually concerned about the district communication support plan that was proposed by Dr. Paluski at the last meeting. I appreciate that it was tabled to tonight because it helped me develop some thoughts on it. Dr. Paluski said he was hoping to partner with this DC firm to jumpstart a long-term communication plan. And while I think that our communications department probably does need some help, I am very skeptical that hiring a DC firm for 6 months for $75,000 is really the best use of district resources. I think the best PR is communication that's timely, relevant, transparent, and professional. And I think that our communication staff is pretty capable of handling those things. And if we need to hire more people, I think that that's a different conversation than we need consultants. I think that you can consult yourself into a box, and then you might eventually just need more consultants to get you further down the road instead of coming up with solutions organically. And I also am concerned about the idea of outsourcing communications when the district climate is as it is. We can all agree that there's some discord right now, and I think that outsourcing communications at this moment is going to undermine the credibility of the district with the people who are in this room today. I think that it's going to really strain that relationship, and it really just lacks authenticity to me. And what I need right now from this district is that transparency, relevancy, professionalism. So while I do agree that maybe there are some things that we can work on, I would just ask the board to proceed with some skepticism about spending $75,000, which, by the way, I can suggest great uses for, as could probably about anybody, for a 6-month contract with a consultant. So thank you so much for your time and for being here, and I do appreciate it. I hope you'll have a good evening.
Thank you. Mr. Jimmy Caven, come on down.
I'm coming. Gonna have to cut a little what I said so I can remind you that this is an open public forum and First Amendment applies. I've already spoken to my attorney who just finished a case in Paragould on this. So I'm going to talk about personnel tonight. If you violate my rights, I will sue you. Every board meeting, Ms. Williams wants to talk about the leadership award that was given by the Arkansas School Board Association. Well, let me tell you what the board's leadership has resulted in. First and foremost, you hired Greg, and you guys have been drinking his Kool-Aid ever since. You even passed a resolution basically pledging your loyalty to him. Let me tell you something, 72.6% of the students at the North Rock School District cannot read at grade level. That's not leadership. Crestwood last year, there were massive overages in classes that violated state law. When Principal Connie Bamberg tried to address this issue by getting paraprofessionals in those classes to comply with state law, Tori Hooper sent her an email telling her to cease and desist contacting the ADE about it. She was trying to get assistance from them to help y'all comply with law, and the response was a directive for her to cease and desist from following state law. When Greg talks about no toleration of bullying, intimidation, and retaliation on staff members, the problem with that is the reporting process is to the very people who are the bullies. Jacob Smith, Leanne Stahl, a couple of the worst. You all remember Katie Lindsay last year. But Katie fought back. And the ADE board did not sanction her. They sanctioned Leanne. There are a lot of employees about to start fighting back, and I'm going to help them. The district even went after Paige Icorn, the little ADG reporter, Arkansas Democratic Gazette reporter, because she wrote about the last meeting about what the public said. All she did was write about what they said, and you guys went after her in a letter. Greg and his administration violate policies and state laws on a daily basis. Every one of you know it. Every one of you condone it. And while you keep looking at the plaque and sipping the Kool-Aid, you know, it's the patrons, staff, and parents, and most importantly, the students that are suffering. And you want to put a millage increase to the voters? Have fun selling that campaign, because the voters aren't the ones drinking the Kool-Aid. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tatum. Mrs. Penny Gonzalez.
I am Penny Gonzalez. I'm here due to there is an issue with one of your guys' staff members into our system. He yelled at me last week, and a couple of you, I have spoken to you on the phone over this person. He yelled at me over it. I have an issue. Boone Park is a great school. 7th Street's getting new people. I don't like it. I have an issue is I have 3 kids in the school district. 2 goes to one school, and another one goes to a different school. I have to drop one of them off at 7 o'clock, pick her up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The school is starting to get angry at me. This is day 4 of this. And I don't know what to do, because said person that yelled at me told me to wait until day 10 to even try to move my child over. And my other kids were automatically accepted. Sorry, that's my daughter.
It's all right. It's all right.
So he told me that he could not even sign a permission form for my daughter to be moved over until after the August 3rd of the school fair registration, even though my oldest, who was supposed to be in 7th Street, was pre-approved. And I'm trying to figure out why my kindergartner was not pre-approved when his secretaries told me for 3 weeks straight that they will pull her file and sit it on his desk to approve it. So now I'm struggling with my children because of this. And I don't know what to do. What else? I've gone over his head several times, and he's yelling at me because of that person. So something needs to be done about him. And I know I'm not the only parent that's struggling with this, because I know there's kids that are trying to get in the schools, but there's not enough rooms in our schools. And I've been a parent in this school district for 5 years. And I am PTA vice president at Boone Park. But something needs to be done with the person, because Mr. Paluski and Mr. Steele knows who this person is. And you guys need to do something, because for them to yell at a parent who is concerned needs to be dealt with. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, are there other public comments? Are there other public comments? Are there other public comments? If there are none, we thank you for coming this evening to express your thoughts. Whatever was said, the board will address those issues. And again, thank you for supporting the North Rock School District.
Madam
Thank
President,
you.
I just have a comment before we move on, because when they get up for 3 minutes, it's really not dialogue. I would recommend that we have an open hearing that's not a board meeting, and where we're not sitting up here and they're sitting out there, and just really discuss these issues so we can ask particular questions, so we can ensure there is follow-up to some of the issues that they have. I mean, we do a lot of meeting twice a month. Also, employee hearings, that adds on to that. But we don't have meetings for people with concerns, and I think we should schedule one of those meetings as soon as possible.
Okay. This will be something that the board will decide and we'll have to vote on. And again, I say to you, the mic is always open. And those of you that are coming for the first time, please understand, I heard what Mr. Steele is saying so that it can be translated. Some of you perhaps would like to have the dialogue or things answered to you. But that was something that the board would have to set up day or time for that. But again, I want to thank you for supporting the North Rock School District. Together, we are better. We are better together. And thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you. Somebody who gave me that shout out, it must have been Nicole, my church member back there. Okay. At this time, I officially call this meeting to order. At this time, we will stand for the salute of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And may we have a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, Dr. Redis, would you give the vision statement? Vision.
Sure. Our vision statement, world-class schools for world-class students. Our mission, the North Little Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
At this time, Ms. Colquitt, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Williams?
Here.
Ms. Wonka? Dr. Reddish?
Here.
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 Present.
Here.
At this time, we will have recognition of people, events, and program.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Paluski. We want to recognize tonight Ms. Marla Edwards, who is our coordinator of elementary mathematics in the North Little Rock School District. She has been selected by the Arkansas Retired Teachers Association to receive the Parsons Burnett Grant from the organization. The grant is valued at $2,000. Ms. Edwards is one of 12 to earn this grant. The purpose of this grant is to support the further education of practicing educators in Arkansas's public schools. And I don't, Ms. McLean, or there's some individuals. Okay. Okay. Would you like to say something?
Ray.
Faith and I and Valerie and Dorothy are here representing the North Little Rock Retired Educators Association. We are an affiliate of ARDA, which is the group that gives this scholarship every year. And we donate money yearly for it, and it's not very often that we get to present a check for $2,000 to a North Little Rock teacher, and we are real excited about that.
Miss Jones, you retired too? Yes. Outstanding.
Are your parents with you?
Okay. Superintendent on the roll? No. Okay. Executive closed session. Executive closed session per North Rock Policy 114A, stating that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular board meeting. Executive session may be held for the purpose considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or the resignation of an employee, or to discuss the matter of pupil punishment, if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in a public session and presents the item for vote of the membership. Further, Arkansas Code Title 25, Chapter 19, Section 106C, 2C, 1 states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. Please join me in the executive session for discussion of the following matters: employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or the resignation of an employee. Good evening. At this time, we will have board member and superintendent involvement. I need a camera. Good evening, Ms. Faith and Ms. Cameron, the retired teachers. Okay, at this time, we'll have superintendent and board members' involvement. Mr. Steele.
7th Street, back to school, staff, convocation, several visits to several schools.
Okay, Ms. McCain.
On August 4th, I went to the middle school campus. They were having a lot of work day. I can't say that I did any work when I was there. I can plead, that I'm too old now to do that kind of stuff, but it looked great. We had a lot of people there helping. It looked great. The 7th, I went to the luncheon for the new teachers and got to meet many of them, and it was nice to be able to talk with all of these folks that are all, especially the ones just coming out, and this is going to be their first year, and they're so excited, and so it's nice to do that. And then on the 8th, 9th, and 11th, I went with Dr. Paluski and Dr. Hooper and Miss Lightfoot and Miss Jordan and some others that would show up at some of the schools we went, and the board members. We went to every single school in this district over those days. And Dr. Paluski talked with the faculty, and we had questions from the faculty. So it was just a great time for us to be together with them as they're getting ready to open up school. That was like before school started. And there was a little anxiety you could see in the room as everybody's trying to be ready for that following Monday when everybody shows up. And then the 10th, we had this great convocation that was a big celebration. We had the elementary teachers in the morning, the secondary in the afternoon. And some of us board members honored Miss Williams by wearing a hat because she's known for wearing her hats. So we had on a hat. It was just a fun day. Teachers had a great time, won lots of great prizes that some wonderful people in this district had gone out and gathered. And then this is related. I went yesterday. Was yesterday? Tuesday. To Lehman Library. We have a new bookmobile called Rover.
Yes.
And it was on display. Cut the ribbon. And I know there's been communication between North Little Rock School District and the North Little Rock Public Libraries to bring the Rover bookmobile over and have a visit at the schools this year too. So that's all would have to be scheduled somehow.
Okay, Ms. Welcome.
I too attended the opening of the schools all last week and did the convocation. It was great.
Okay. Dr. Redis.
Excuse me. I attended all 15. It was a lot of them. It was a tiring week. But we went to all of the locations and visited school doing PD. I went to the 2 best phenomenal convocations that we've ever had. The excitement in the place was wonderful. And I also attended Boone Park's open house. It was a great turnout there as well. So,
Ms. Temple.
I made it to 1.
All right. Ms. West.
Better than none.
Attended probably about 90% of the school visits. I was able to attend a new teacher luncheon. We rode the school bus on the first day of school that I rode with elementary, middle school, and high school. So I tried to sing Wheels on the Bus, go round and round. Nobody wanted to join in with me, so I was like, okay. This is my second year doing this as far as collecting backpacks. I did. Nobody joined in on my Wheels on the Bus song. This was my second year collecting backpacks. My goal is 100 backpacks, and I got up to about 125 this year, so I was so excited. And I called everybody under the sun, and it's not too late. We still can take backpacks. I know since everybody's here, y'all want to go buy a backpack and bring it to me. That'll be wonderful. Thank you. And school supplies, I was able to donate school supplies to several of the campuses. And then since I had so many backpacks, I just kind of spread them amongst the different campuses this year. And I would hope that I would be able to collect a lot more. So y'all let me know when Walmart start marking them down for $1, okay? So since we get a whole bunch of emails every day, y'all send me the emails about when the backpacks go down to $1 so I can go buy some more for some disenfranchised children. And then also the school supplies. And then we had a great Meet the Principal at 7th Street, and I attended open house at Amboy, and I stopped by before it started the Meet the Principal at Glenview to just kind of congratulate Mr. Kelly on his promotion. And that's probably not it, but that's all I can think of at the moment. But I do need some more school supplies and backpacks.
Good evening. I attended all 16 events that the superintendent attended, except I didn't make it to 7th Street. And it was wonderful. I enjoyed it. And it was just seeing everybody so happy. Mm-hmm. And I did ride the bus with Miss Stoll. And you know what department she works in. And I found it to be very exciting, very educational, and I learned a lot. And that teaching isn't what it used to be. And so with that thought, we will now let Dr. Paluski.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of our Board of Education and Public, I'll go quickly. Obviously busy to open schools. July 27th, some members of our Board of Education, we entered into the first partnership with Baptist Health with our partnership in our career academies. Just one major partnership in many, looking forward to those students and their engagement in real-world learning. On the 27th, I have been meeting with members of the board. I do appreciate Ms. Friedman mentioning that. I've met with her multiple times. I've met with Ms. Tackett. I am meeting with individuals within the community. The public might not know this, but we're going to talk about our school visits. I have created a teacher advisory council. Each faculty member at each building will select a primary and a secondary individual. Therefore, the principal's not picking the person or anybody else. It's coming from within the peer group. We will meet once a month, all 15 sites. I did meet with pre-K if you were with me. They wanted 2 individuals because they feel that they're separated from everyone else. So we'll probably have about 16 individuals. Just to be clear, this is not LPPC. However, it is to talk about serious conversation about what teachers are feeling, what teachers are experiencing, and that will be an ongoing dialogue every single month. So I do want to make the public, as well as our student advisory, our community advisory, our school safety task force advisory, I think we're up to 7 or 8. Also, on July 31st, I had the honor to attend the football coaches meeting by Coach Reed and his entire staff. It was a great turnout at the stadium. Very excited. Don't forget, everyone, that we have our benefit game against El Dorado on Friday. We hope to see you there. Just a point of clarity, we are accepting cash at the gate, and we also are accepting electronically as well. So we welcome our entire community of that first Friday night. August 2nd is my annual meeting with the mayor and departments of his staff. On August the 2nd, had the opportunity, Dr. Hooper and I, my colleague, to address our new teachers and welcome them to the North Little Rock School District. On August the 4th, we attended new teacher orientation. On October 4th, this is quite interesting, I had the opportunity to attend a luncheon with our local superintendents. That means that's Little Rock, that's North Little Rock, that's Jacksonville, about the solar eclipse that's going to be happening in the spring. And we're coordinating efforts about what project-based learning could look like to engage students in that unique opportunity. Had the opportunity on August the 7th to welcome our transportation department. On August 7th, some of the board members were there. We had luncheon with our new teachers. That was absolutely fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. August 8th, 9th, and 11th, as was mentioned, is a whirlwind tour. We did 15 campuses in 3 days. We were there for about an hour to engage with each one of our faculty, engage in questions, engage about the school district, where we are, work that has to be done, and we look forward to that as we start every school year. We've started that tradition. We brought back convocation. That was mentioned. If you had the opportunity to see some of the things posted, what a great day to really just engage with our employees, tell them how much that we appreciate them. Some of you might know I like to start new traditions. We had a Spirit Award for elementary. This year was awarded to Meadow Park, and we congratulate them. And at secondary, it was the COE, so we congratulate them on their Spirit Award. As was discussed, we've started a tradition here that we all ride executive team. It's an expectation to be at transportation Monday morning at 5:30 to kick off our school year. We did that. Salute to all of our transportation folks. And we often tell folks they are the first person a child sees and they're the last person a child. And I just want to shout out to our transportation department that's been working extremely hard. Obviously, we've had early release this week and everybody's getting into a routine, so we appreciate that. On the 15th this week, we had Meet the Principal night at 7th Street Elementary School, in which I had the opportunity to attend, and that was to welcome Miss Holmes, and very, very excited about that. As we all know, early release, that's certainly a new aspect of supporting our teachers with planning. I personally, all of our executive team were out in schools that day. I personally was at Amboy Elementary School that day. I was so proud of how everyone has worked together, the support of our community, and the support for our community for our teachers is greatly appreciated. And I would say until day 4 that we're off to a great start to a great academic year. Thank you, Madam President.
You are so welcome. At this time, we do not have any classified or...
Hang on, with the legislative update, I think was the next thing.
Okay, hold up. I apologize.
That's okay.
The computer went flat. Okay.
Yeah, I think next is the legislative update.
It's on you.
Thank you, Madam President. It'll be very brief. There'll be several different elements coming out of the LEARNS legislation over the next few weeks. We will try to keep you updated on all of that. The one thing you may have seen in the media over the last few days is the African American History AP program. Kind of originated out of Central High School, but it impacts several schools, including our school. And what I'd like to do, Madam President, is turn it back to the superintendent so he can explain how that's going to impact North Little Rock.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Steele. You probably saw some of the media. The course that we will pilot, we've just communicated that with our students. We have 35 students that are signed up to pilot African American studies, not history, AP African American studies, similar at Central, similar in Jonesboro. We will be piloting. We did have a chance to talk to ADE on Tuesday of this week to get further guidance on what our options were. We talked to the teachers, we talked to the principal to get feedback. Our teachers talked to our students. They're very excited to be able to take the course. The course will be offered this year as a pilot. It'll be offered for local credit. It will be offered for a local weight. It also, the State Department usually provides a waiver of a fee for AP exams. That's not the case here, but the school district will pick up that fee as well. We're also reviewing, we can do that through Title II. We can do that through local funds, as well as the review of the materials to be able to be used for that course. I appreciate that, Mr. Steele.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that concludes my legislative update.
Okay, thank you.
May I add to Mr. Steele? Part of the LEARNS Act, which is the Right to Read Act, calls for literacy coaches in schools that have a letter grade below a C. Dr. Hooper, myself, Ms. Lightfoot, Ms. Jordan, members of our team met with ADE this week. We have 4 literacy coaches that have been assigned by the State Department to the following schools: Amboy, Boone Park, Glenview, Indian Hills, Meadow Park, Ridge Road, and 7th Street. We had a great meeting. We have some literacy coaches already, so we had a great introductory meeting, so we are all on the same page, and I believe that they'll be out in schools early next week, so we appreciate that, and we're implementing already the law right here in North Little Rock.
Okay. At this time, then, Dr. Pileska, we on the informational items.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of our Board of Education and Public, I would like to welcome Mrs. Yah McNulty, the Coordinator of Accountability Assessment and Data Management, to give a high-level overview. We just recently got our ACT results back. If you remember in our back-to-school report, Dr. Hooper provided a high-level overview. We continue to dig into this data as it shows as we become driven in making student-centered decisions. So it's just a high-level overview. And welcome, Mrs. McNulty, back. So we look forward to sharing with us your expertise as you've unpacked this with our colleagues.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Paluski, Madam Board President, members of the board. It's good to be here to share this time with you. Wow. Just want to take a moment to say thank you for everything you do and your support of the district, your support of our families, our community, our students. It is tough work that you do, and while it's not paid, the rewards are the beautiful children that we serve. So thank you for the work that you do. All right, let's dig into the data. All right, so the purpose of our time together is really to look at the ACT Aspire assessments that we just took in the spring, and look at our highlights as far as, celebrations that we have, address opportunities that will help us to continue to improve and grow, and also look at our strategic next steps. So ACT Aspire, as you know, we have had it since 2016, and this assessment was originally created for us to look at how to provide that summative piece for grades 3 through 10 students in those tested areas as English, reading, mathematics, science, and writing, but really more focused in on the college and career readiness aspect of it. We are moving to a new assessment platform called Atlas, and as you know, that assessment is going to be quite different. It's not a fixed form, so that it's not everybody gets the same test. It's going to be a test that's more adaptive based upon how students are answering the questions. And so it's also going to be more standard-based and provide an opportunity for us to know how our students are performing at that current grade level. So it'll give us more information. So this is our SS School Index, and this is the way that we are accountable as a school district and as a school. As you can see, on one side is the elementary and middle grade spans, and with those areas that we are held accountable for. The other side talks about the high school components as well. I highlighted the yellow because right now today all we're focused in on is the weighted achievement, which is really the raw scores that we received. The state has not provided us with the growth percentages, our growth formula, and that will be coming in the next months. But what I want you to pay attention to is our weighted achievement accounts for 35% of our school grade, and that's for both the high school as well as middle and elementary. And when you look at, for elementary and middle grades, the value added growth is worth 50%. So that is quite heavy, which makes sense because not all of our students come at this very same rate and are doing, on par with their academics. So that gives us a little grace in how we can grow our students. And the next piece is the XQSS, and it just talks about attendance, discipline, not discipline, more of reading at grade level, science achievement, science growth as well, and many other indicators. And for the high school, there's a couple of other components that's added in that piece as well, and it's a plethora of things from ACT to graduation rates and many more. So just wanted to share that information with you briefly. So let's talk about the data analysis and what we were able to gauge from our assessment from last spring. As you can see, we had 8 out of 13 of our schools that actually demonstrated an increased achievement in English language arts and math. And what we were able to do as a team is look at the state's formula, and we're able to calculate how our students performed based upon the data that we received. And I have to say, this is really, really good information. We are seeing that our students are moving in the area of achievement. And when we talk about achievement, we're talking about proficiency. So that is a huge piece to celebrate. All of those schools listed, I have to say, kudos to them. And we have to take a moment to really appreciate our teachers that are in the front lines doing the work, the leaders that are also there pushing and supporting that work, and our district team and the vision that they have and the supports that they're putting in place to ensure that we continue to grow as a united district. And so this is great information. I mean, let's look at some schools that just stood out. My goodness, Glenview definitely moved. Meadow Park, outstanding. Looking at Crestwood, wonderful. And then it goes on Indian Hills. I just super proud of all of them for the work that they're doing. And then the next bullet point just really talks about, you know, the area of English, how we performed. We moved a percentage up, and we have to think about this is actually a positive move because according to the state actually stays stagnant in the area of English and reading, and so we did move up a percentage, and that's good. For math, we increased by 2 percentage points while the state increased by 1. That's another positive to look at. And for science, we maintained. And what we did see is a slight increase when we look at our reading from, you know, just a percentage decrease. So this is the preliminary information, but my goodness, I feel like we are on the right path. When we talk about, you know, new things, new initiatives, lots of work, it comes with people feeling overwhelmed, anxious, nervous, but the implementation dip, I believe we're not seeing that as significant. We're actually seeing some positive things within this data outcome. All right, so the next piece is I really have to credit our executive team members and Dr. Hooper for their great work. They continue to dig into this data even more and just looked at the outcomes of our students and the performance that is being shown. And so as you can see, the national, state and national standards, there are 3 out of 13 schools that actually met that. Very proud of our district. And then again, you could look at the increase that we had in math, in English, in science, and then also looking at our achievement outcomes for, oh goodness, I'm trying to look at that area. Oh no, it was the mention of, you know, despite all of the things that we've had going on from tornadoes, bats, and you name it, the work continues, and just the alignment of what we're doing is starting to see the fruits of our labor. I mean, it's starting to see that. So thank you for sharing that information. Wanted to say kudos to the team. All right, this information here is another data point for us to pay attention to. When we talk about the Aspire right now, when we talk about students in need of support, we always remind our leaders that while we don't get a point for students in need of support, because that's our lowest category, it's more about the children that we serve. So we need to move students out of that categories because we're talking about student lives. And so it's not just about a point system, it's about really creating opportunities for our kids. And so looking at this data, we were able to see that many of our students who are in the in need of support area are actually moving out of that area, meaning to the close category, from close to ready, and then from ready to exceeding. So again, take a look at those highlighted schools. They made some huge jumps, and then when you look at overall, for example, in reading, when we say 11 out of 13, just meaning that 11 out of 13 schools actually moved kids from in need of support to close. So again, the work, as difficult as it is, we're starting to see outcomes of our results. And then for our ready category, again, take a look at that information. This is really moving kids to that next category as well. We are increasing the number of students that are ready, and some highlights definitely in the area of mathematics. Wow, look at all of those yellow highlights in English. This is an area that we're also proud of, but we believe we can even do better with some more strategic supports, and we know exactly which areas we need to focus on to continue that trajectory. And then in science, it's an area that, we talked about curriculum resources. We have a new science coordinator who is outstanding, so I believe that the work is going to continue. She already asked me to make sure that we are working together to look at how we can support kids, so diving right in there. And then in our exceeding category, we're starting to see more and more of our students also move in that category, which means they are performing typically, above those national norms and also state. And so we need more of our students in that category as well. Just powerful work. All right, this other piece, this is, I hope it's not too complicated, but I just wanted to break it down for you a little bit. So take a look at, it's listed by school, and then it has the subject areas. So when we look at Amboy Elementary School, for example, in English, when we say 2 out of 3, they have 3 tested grade levels. So 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. They had 2 out of 3 grade levels that actually increased achievement in English. So when you see those bolded areas, that just means they just increased even more, And so we're seeing a lot of 3 out of 3 for Crestwood in English, 3 out of 3 for Cleanview, and it goes all the way down. Some really good information to show you, what that growth looks like. As you know, for our 6th grade campus, there's only 1 campus, so that's why there's not too many comparisons. And then, of course, for 7th and 8th grade, it's just 2 grade levels. But again, the data is there, and we're seeing some positive things. And again, you can also see the national norms and the state norms and how we are performing there. This information here just allows us to look at our grade levels as a district, and it just really tells us how our students are performing within a 2-year comparison. And in English, as you can see, some great growth. 5th grade, my goodness, 13 points increase, outstanding. And then I don't know, I have to say, I'm really proud at the work that's being done. And again, when we see areas as far as our upper level, we know that those are some growth areas that we could quickly take care of with some strategic efforts. And so those are the things that we need to focus on as we move forward. And then our reading proficiency, this is a work that we have to continue to support and improve. We're seeing some increased pieces, in pockets, but we want to see that growth continue to just across all grade levels. So again, this is where we need to really focus our efforts and figure out how we're going to support that piece, and it'll come back up in the conversation in a little bit later. Math, our math coach is here, so I just want to say kudos to the math coach. She's a coach, because literally you teach too. Miss Marla Edwards, can you give that lady a round of applause? And also Ms. Debbie Higgins, those coordinators, I talk about the efforts of the teachers who are in the trenches, but also to see them be very visible and present in the buildings to support that work and the curriculum. We're seeing that in that achievement outcomes, and I'm just flabbergasted with the growth that we're seeing. So just wanted to take a moment to say, good work being done. We know what we need to do at the upper level. We know exactly how to support that work. And so this year, they've already begun that process of having conversations. We're going to do some SWOT analysis, some looking at, where are our errors, how can we improve, what are some data points that we need to focus on, and Dr. Paluski has given us some good information to help us move forward. So I'm looking forward to that next piece. And then for science, again, I'm glad that we have our science coordinator here, because I think you're going to see this data increase even more as we move forward. So with that being said, this is really the next steps. Dr. Paluski talked about our strategic plan and looking at our math area and also looking at our reading area, and wanted us to really really dig deep into our school improvement plans being intentional about those plans that we create and making sure that it's best practice strategies and that we have goals that are measurable, that are rigorous, but yet also relevant and make sense for each building. We're really looking forward to really creating those plans that are just reviewed over and over again so the people understand what our goals are, from teachers to parents to really drill down to students. And so this year we're looking forward to that intentional piece. There's a lot of information here as far as the work that we need to do to move forward, but the highlights is the common formative assessments are going to come in handy in giving us more information at a quick level to be able to support our students and also our teachers, and then also continuing to use the data to drive the instruction that's happening in the classroom, and then continuation of all of the district non-negotiables that have been put in place by our school performance. There are some great things that are happening this year. The goal is to drill down and not pile on more, but just build and make sure that we are getting better at what we do. So those are some of the things that I wanted to share with you today. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
Yes. Mrs. Steele?
No questions. Good report.
Thank you.
Mrs.
Thank you.
McLean?
Things are looking up.
Thank you.
Looks
Yes,
good.
it is.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you.
Ms. Welcome?
I do have a question.
Yes,
so are
ma'am.
we following the grades? So like if the students were 7th grade last year, is this 8th grade data, is that following the same students, or was this tested on 7th grade? Because I'm noticing, I'm going to use 8th grade as an example. There seems to be a decrease in most of, so I'm asking, was that 7th grade last year? Is that current 9th graders? Where are we at with
So when you're looking at the achievement piece right now, this focus is just really on, it's not apples to apples unless you break it down. And we can break it down and look at those cohorts. But we also have to remember that when it comes to 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, there's so many transitions.
Right.
And so that's really hard to make those comparisons, but something for us to continue looking at.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Reddick?
Great report.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Temple?
Thank you.
Ms. West?
I have no question. Let me just get close before Hunter throw the sign up on me. I have no questions. However, I just, I'm happy to see the information, and great job to all of the building teachers for doing the work, and I appreciate it so much. And I mean, my gosh, Glenview is like tearing it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever that secret sauce is, we're going to have to have it around the district. So that was really, really good.
Ms. Shea?
Yes.
I want to first thank you for all the data you have presented to us. You are amazing. And then what I really love of those coaches who stepped in, and Dr. Paluski, some people thought it wasn't a good hire, but I think it has been a phenomenal hire because they certainly have done their job.
Absolutely.
If you look at the data. And if any of you all are out there, I would like to see you. Would you please stand? That's the math department.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have others that always
Yes.
come to board meetings.
Absolutely.
But personally, the board just want to say thank you. And to the teachers, just keep up the good work.
Absolutely.
And to you especially, Dr. Hooper, I just want to say people looked at the increase at 7th Street, but they didn't realize that she was down there for a whole semester to help the teachers because they were subpar, but they worked under her leadership. And personally, Dr. Hooper, thank you for doing that. You didn't have to, but you did. And I'm just so grateful to all the data that you get. Where do you get your, I want to ask, you told us that ACT expired. It no longer exists.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And you told us you won't know what we will have until next month, right?
We actually have all of, we know exactly which tool we're going to use, and we will be providing more information to the board so you could understand the new platform and what it offers. So we'll make sure we create some slide presentations to show you what the new assessment is going to look like.
And thank you for following all the guidelines of whatever Learn has asked us to do. Thank you very much.
Thank
Anything
you.
else, Dr.
Miss,
No, ma'am.
Miss President, real quick, I just also want to say, too, that since we have Mr. Jones here, Miss Jones here, they pitched in over at 7th Street and helped those numbers increase and grow. And Mr. Jones was acting principal at the time at 7th Street, and it was pretty much all hands on deck. And I just want to recognize them publicly since they're here. That, you know, it was pulling, you know, and just thankful that we had retired teachers that were ready to come out of retirement temporarily to help, you know, this school district. So we appreciate those retired teachers that come back and feel like they can help too, not just at one school, but at all schools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the next information item is our synergistic presentation, Energy Star Awards and Program Update. I will first start with Mr. Brown, who has some guests and I believe an award that we're going to hear about.
Thank you, Dr. Paluski and members of the board. We have with us tonight Ms. Carrie Dubose from Synergistic. We also have Jesse Coulter from Synergistic, and we have Robert Glover. He's our energy specialist for North Little Rock School District from Synergistic as well. So I'm going to turn it over to them. They do have some exciting news to share with you about our program, give you some updates. So I'll let them share.
First, I just want to thank Madam President and Dr. Paluski and the rest of the board for having us tonight. So I'll just kick us off here with a energy program update. So we'll kick off with the first slide here, key program objectives. So our objectives here are, there you go. Our first one is cost savings through reduced utility consumption. Next is our optimizing buildings and comfort systems. And then, of course, creating this culture of sustainability with the district. So first, you'll see my editing error with that dot. That's actually supposed to be a comma. So our total savings, so cost avoidance is at $2.9 million savings since 2018, which is awesome. Just a reduced amount of costs that you all didn't have to pay to your utility provider, which is a 29% overall savings so far since the program's been going. So our next slide here is the energy use trend. The big thing to take away from here is that there's been a 40%, almost a 41% reduction in use per square foot, which is, out of all the clients we work with, that's the highest one we have in the entire United States with a reduced consumption there. To put that in perspective, the energy that hasn't been used would run all of your buildings for nearly 3 years without any changes. That's a crazy number there. The next one here is just I just want to show how much Robert means to this program. He's in the buildings. This is just from the last 12 months. Nearly 1,400 audits. These are on-site audits. This doesn't include those other ones that are whether they're computer audits or things like that. This is literally just in the buildings. That's nearly 27 on-site audits per week. And how that impacts the environment, it always pops up. We have this metric tons of CO2 reduced. So you have nearly 17,000 metric tons. But what does that mean? So I looked it up, and that is a 2-story by 2-story by 2-story cube. And there's 17,000 of those that you guys reduced from the energy program here. So awesome work. And so from there, I would like to pass it to Carrie, who will talk about the Energy Star.
Yes, good evening, Superintendent Paluski and Madam President and board members. We're excited to be here to talk about Energy Star recognition. So the Energy Star program is run by the EPA and the U.S. Department of Energy, and it focuses on a superior level of energy efficiency. For a building to be certified as Energy Star, it has to meet a very strict criteria. There are energy performance standards that are set by the EPA. So more specifically, a building has to score 75% or higher on the EPA scale of 1 to 100, meaning that building performs 75% better than other buildings that are similar across the nation. And so just a few statistics to point out. compared with its peers, an Energy Star certified building uses 35% less energy. It generates 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions, and it costs 54 cents less per square foot to operate. And so due to the hard work of the staff and the teachers and the students and the leadership, the facilities team, and our energy specialist here, Robert Glover, you all have 12 schools that are being Energy Star recognized. And so I want to call out those 12 schools and let you know the score on what they achieved on the scale from 1 to 100. And then after that, we'd like for each board member to come down and hold up a plaque so that we can get some photos of you all. So I want to start with the most impressive, which is North Little Rock High School. North Little Rock High School scored 97%. Meaning that it is more energy efficient than 97% of similar properties nationwide. That's pretty amazing.
Wow.
In the nation.
And that's compared in the nation. Amboy Elementary School scored 92%. Boone Park scored 90%. Crestwood scored 86%. Glenview Elementary School scored 86%. Indian Hills 94%. Lakewood Elementary School 90%. Meadow Park, 89%, Ridge Road, 87%, 7th Street, 87%, NLRMS campus scored 85%, and NLR Academy scored 93%. Wow. So congratulations. I'll turn it to Robert.
Thank you. I wanted to thank all the building principals and staff for their support in the energy program. Special recognition to Ms. Maribel Sims at Pikeview. The Energy Star Awards only recognize K through 12 buildings, but her staff and them have hit the mark. I mean, they should have gotten a award because they sit back and they turn off everything every week, week after week. So I would also like to thank all the administrators, school board members, Dr. Paluski, Brian Brown, Ms. Makisha Edwards. A special thanks also to the maintenance department, Jay Ward, Dane Carver, Brett Walker, Kim and Carvin Martin for all their efforts and teamwork. That's why you see the numbers you have here today. And last but not least, I would like to recognize Mr. Brown's department. Her name is Amber Jackson. She's our financial specialist. She does all the bills she and I work together on. Together we have gotten the district over $10,000 in other savings, which means when we have pipes break or lines that bust, I do audits on those. I gather pictures and document all the facts for her. I hand that information to her, but then she can take that and fill out the paperwork and get us credit or a refund on the water sewer fees. Thank you.
So,
and the last thing I'd like to bring up here is that each year in April we have a conference down in Dallas with Synergistic, and this year we got to Mr. Robert Glover earn the Synergistic Energy Specialist of the Year, and I just wanted to recognize that here.
Thank you.
Could we get the board members to come down and get one of the plaques?
Get some of you to step up so we can get all come together.
Everybody the tone up here.
Yeah, Robert will drop these off at the schools.
You want this back? Or I'll just, no, just playing. Okay, cool. Okay, great. All right. Thank you, and congratulations.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the first action item is 12.1, the employment of personnel. The superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I move that we approve the employment of personnel as discussed in closed session.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation from the superintendent on 12.1, employment of personnel. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. So the motion is carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our Board of Education. The next action item is 12.2, the District Communication Support Plan. As the superintendent recommends Woodbury Associates. Some of the questions that were generated from our last discussion, I just wanted to provide you with an update. Woodbury and Associates has worked with the Tennessee Department of Education. They've worked with the Ohio Department of Education. They've also worked with Mountain View Wismont School District, which is in Mountain View, California, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area. I did have the opportunity to talk to Dr. Aiden Rudolph, who's the superintendent. He's been there for the superintendent for the last 8 years. The school district there decided to engage in a similar situation that they found themselves. It was trying to better communicate with their constituents. They started out with a 6-month contract. Their Board of Education, as well as their stakeholders, they now have been working with them for over 1.5 years. And speaking with Dr. Rudolph, talked about the dramatic change in visibility and positivity about his school district. He talked about the messaging of fine points into clarity for all stakeholders to understand. He, in his words, thought this was money extremely well spent. It has saved the district time and energy. They're about a 5,500 student school district. They have 2 staff members in their department, unlike that we have 1. Talked about streamlining communication responses in an extremely timely manner, given certain situations that they're dealing with. He talked about a campaign that they did there, as is in some school districts in the United States, where teacher housing is extremely high. As you can imagine, in the Bay Area, the school district actually owns property that they provide teachers, and he was talking about their teacher housing campaign to be able to communicate with constituents in a very, very timely manner, as well as social media. As we've discussed before, and no one could better talk about it than probably Mr. Barnes, but Mr. Barnes is a one-man show. It amazes me from day to day and working with him very closely how much he turns out by himself. And he deserves a lot of credit. However, given the where we are as a school district, I still firmly believe that we're not properly staffed to be able to deal with the current demand of communication, whether that's our vision, whether that's information, whether that's a lot of misinformation out there, communicating change, communicating our initiatives, and our image. I think right now there's not a very positive image about the North Little Rock School District, whether that's in social media or well that's in print, and we know that image can lead to influence. Influence can lead to somebody making a decision whether or not to send their child to the North Little Rock School District or not. Although we're up by 20 students currently from the end of the school year, I think it's a pivotal time. We have to look at the future of our school district. No other time in public education in the state of Arkansas do we have to further compete more for families and children. With vouchers, with charter schools, parents make decisions. And sometimes you can have a negative influence that would lead to that. Those are just, some of the reasoning as well. A question that was asked of me, how would we measure success? One of the things that we would first do with Woodbury Associates is sit down to further identify metrics as well as algorithms, but some things which could include social media engagement, numbers of followers, positive to negative comments, conversations that are warm and friendly versus maybe negative, the opportunity to have the district's voice in news stories and opinion be able to balance, key messaging, and how often that is being repeated through multiple networks. I also had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Beardsley about the board's direction at the last school board meeting was to table the vote on a millage, and I agree with that 100% because the board wanted to make sure that we were educating our public before the board wanted to reconsider this in November, which the board could reconsider it again in October for the following year. Woodbury and Associates can help us with information about the middle school, about the millage. The only thing that we cannot do is use public funds to influence voters to vote on it, and we're certainly not there. If you think about it, that's going to mean all of September and all of October and the middle of November to hold lots of information sessions with the public just to clearly talk about what we know, the funding we have received in order to get a lot of feedback. And so that is a little bit of an update. I know it's some of the questions that the board members have asked.
Ms. West.
Oh, he was still talking. Okay. I necessarily am not. I don't feel I'm coming at it from two different perspectives. I don't want to necessarily do this because of the amount of money. However, being fair to Dustin, he's one person, and just looking at it from the standpoint of Pulaski County, they have 4 in their communications department, and Little Rock School District has a total of 5. So for Dustin to be the only one, that's a little unfair in that aspect. I do know, Dustin, that you have been inundated with FOIA requests on a regular basis, and sometimes they're very extensive. I see them just like you see them, and you're the one that has to do it. So then you have to then couple that with maybe stories that are not as accurate as they should be. So you have to go back and look at all of that from that perspective and look at it from there. So I am going to say that from a human aspect, that I'm going to be for it. I hope that we can revisit this later and maybe look at getting you some help, because a district of over 8,000 students, that's not fair to have you in that position. And I don't want to be in a situation where we lose our only communication person, because I see what you go through, and it's not fair. But right now you have a lot on your I don't know how you do it, and you still are able to engage with each individual campus. It's amazing to me. I tip my hat off to you. Good job. But right now it's a lot on you on the table. And so, going back years to look up different stuff, that's unfair to you. So I'm going to be for it.
Ms. Temple.
Well, I've been sitting on the fence because it is a lot of money. But it is cheaper than hiring people permanently, and we don't even really know what we want to do with communication yet. And I've noticed, especially recently, we're not communicating well even within the district. If there's something that we have agreed on here and somebody asks about it at a school or something, it's not the same conversation. So we're not even communicating well within our ranks. So we do really need help with our communication. It just kills me to spend that much money, but we have to do something. I mean, you haven't been able to function like we hired you to, from the beginning. You have never functioned like the board originally hired you to do. And here we are years later. And
Still chasing the tail.
Yes. So, and additionally, we evaluate the superintendent based on his choices, and we start getting there and telling him exactly how we think he needs to do it, and then we're coming back and evaluating him saying he's doing a bad job. That kind of bothers me too. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with this.
Dr. Brady?
I too was on the fence, and I was only on the fence because of the money, not because I too, like they said, my thing is we don't have a PR department. We don't have a PR team. We have a miracle worker that services all 15 campuses, do all of the many FOIs that come in, and again, like Ms. West says, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it, but you need some help. I ditto with what Ms. Temple said as far as we need to look at long term, but for a short-term fix, I too am willing to get this short-term fix, knowing that we're going to revisit this to find something long-term, because we want to keep our PR person. So we need a long-term fix. So.
Dustin, well done. Well done. And as today, I have been a victim of miscommunication.
Natalie, speak into the microphone and stay on task, please.
So as I was a victim of miscommunication and lies and deceit, bravo to you for handling all of the misinformation that goes out in our school district. So with that being said, I have no issues spending this money. I've never been on the fence, and I support it 100%.
Mr. McLean?
Over the past few weeks, the North Little Rock School District has been trying to stand tall amid all the social media postings and newspaper articles about our district that have been negative. And it saddened me how this all came about. I taught for 38 years. I know how important it is to have open communication with teachers and parents and administration. As a matter of fact, y'all, when I was a library media specialist in this district, I started posting my news to use memos on the inside doors of the teachers' bathroom stalls. That's just a little tip you might want to pick up, Mr. Barnes. That was my way of posting social media back in those days, anything that I could get their attention. And I know that Dr. Paluski's always had an open door policy. And I know that the majority of our employees and parents are dedicated and willing to do anything, even if it means change, to make this district stronger, improve test scores, and therefore the futures of our students. I want to see this district bragging about the wonderful things that go on here, about the wonderful parents that we have that truly care about their kids. Everybody here tonight that spoke and that has been sitting here loves their kids, and they're doing this because they love their kids. And we love their kids too. This is our community. So I want to see us bragging about those things and about this wonderful parent support that we have in the community and the accomplishments of our students, the chess club or the junior ROTC or the band or the competitions our elementary students are in. I can't think of the names of some of those little competitions that they're in, but I know they win a lot. And I know we have a lot of teachers that win award. We have one tonight that just got a grant to further her studies. So I want to see the public. I want the public to see that we can work together. And I feel that from these parents that are here tonight. And I feel like this superintendent is trying to reach out and make this thing work so that we're listening to parents and listening to teachers and trying to come together with a common goal. I want them to see, I want the community out there to see that we have this wonderful opportunity to build a new middle school if we can add funding to it that the state has awarded us. And to support that effort.
Nobody does.
And to support that effort, we need to be proclaiming the wonderful things that this district offers. Now, having said all that, it makes me think it's time. It's time for us to commit to a plan to promote this district. I don't think posting on the back of the bathroom doors is the way to go, but if we don't promote, who will? Right. If we don't do it now, when? I'm seeing commercials for local charter schools on television. I'm seeing ads in local magazines and newspapers for private and charter schools. I'm seeing posts on social media for all kinds of options that our parents have in this community to educate their children. There's change going on all around us. There's change going on in this district. But we need to let the public know positive things we're doing and provide factual information for them. The North Little Rock School District is in a fierce competition. We're in a fight to preserve the jobs of all of our employees. Yes. I don't want to lose families from this district, which results in having to cut employees because numbers are down. I don't want to lose students because we chose to sit back and not toot our own horn. Right. I don't want to have to cut teachers because numbers are down. I don't want to have to cut paras or cafeteria workers or nurses or maintenance workers or any bus drivers or anybody. I want our community to come together and show how we can communicate with one another, we can work with one another. And I don't want to lose students because we chose to just sit back and let some negativity dominate the narrative, because we have a narrative to tell also. And the commitment to a PR firm will conclude at the end of 6 months, right? Mm-hmm. And at that time we can decide if we want to extend or not, or if we want to hire another firm or not, or if we want to hire somebody permanent in the district. My dad used to always say this quote from Alice in Wonderland: "The time has come," the walrus said, "to speak of many things." And I think it's time, and I think that time is now.
Thank you. Mrs. Steele.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few issues with this contract. My first issue is that I can't talk in a public forum to Woodbury. To my knowledge, this is the first time that I can remember in my term on this board for granting this sizable a contract. And the people didn't even feel enough respect for us to be sitting in these chairs right here. Mr. Superintendent, you are not the spokesperson for Woodbury. You're the spokesperson for the district. We need these people here to answer questions. That's unfair for you to be put in a position to be the spokesperson. Just like this organization who just came before us, the Synergy, they've been here several times. So what we're saying is we're about to give $75,000 of taxpayer money to an organization who won't come here so that we can ask questions and get our information. They, to my knowledge, and all the information that I read, have not been here. So we're about to grant an organization with taxpayer money who probably doesn't know the difference between Boone Park and Meadow Park. So the first chunk of their time is going to be having to get to know us and us getting to know them. But we only have 6 months. My other question is, what happens after the 6 months? It doesn't say in here, it's 3 pages that they have written in this proposal. But it doesn't say anything about follow-up. It doesn't say anything about we are going to deliver you a package. It doesn't say anything about that in the information that we received. You know, my other issue is that we do need to improve communication. There's a lot of things that we need to do. But I think if we want people to talk better about us, how about we do better? I mean, how about we communicate better with people? This firm that's coming in, it's not going to be a magic wand where they come in and all of a sudden communication is just going to, I've dealt with firms before from a consultant basis that they're just going to wave a magic wand and say, you know, okay, now we're going to leave and everything is going to be fine. And this firm is not what Dustin needs to help him do his job. What Dustin needs is somebody that can report to him and support him past 6 months. And this firm cannot touch, say, or do anything about the millage. Because this firm, that's illegal. This firm can only deal with things in the current purview. If we decide to go forward with the millage, this firm cannot do anything toward that because they are being paid by tax dollar money. Now, let me say something that may be difficult for some people to understand. Because what I get, and we had a lengthy conversation, more than one, Mr. Superintendent, on this, and you talked a lot about the social media aspect and how we're getting just trashed and how we're getting taken advantage of in social media. Now, this is difficult for some to really digest, but some of the people who are giving us a difficult time on social media are also taxpayers. So what we're going to do is use taxpayer money to challenge them on social media. But even though they disagree with us, even though they don't understand what's going on, even though we may fall short, we disagree with the criticisms that they're launching toward us, you know what? They pay their property taxes like everybody else. And that's not fair from that
I pay mine
perspective.
too, and I say yes.
I appreciate it if I could make my comments without any interruptions. The other issue that I have with this contract or grant is we're falling short of money in a lot of different areas. One, the middle school. We don't have enough money to do anything significant with the middle school. We have no money for Old Main. And the other day, the first day of school, I thought it was wonderful that we all got together and that we rode the bus. The first day of school with the young people. But you know what I gathered from that ride with the bus, and I was on the bus with Representative Jamie Scott. We rode around and we went to 7th Street. But the bus had no air conditioning.
My bus had air.
Over half the buses do not have air conditioning. Ladies and gentlemen, our summers are going to be longer and it's going to be hotter. So we have issues that from a financial perspective that we need to deal with and we need to deal with long term. I don't have a problem with a communication plan. I just do not feel this is the right time and the right way to do it. There's been very, very little public input and dialogue on this contract. Very little. No public hearing. If we're actually going to be designing a communications program with this, we should then put it out and have the Woodbury group to be able to answer, okay, because this is the daunting task. How are you going to do it? Just saying that did it in Tennessee and did it over here, that doesn't give me enough information to say this is the time to go with this. And for that reason, I cannot support this contract.
Okay. Dr. Paluska, did you want to add anything to that of what you heard?
I did. I first would like to call Mr. Barnes up because I think we need to hear from him, number one. Number two, since the last time that we met, I've talked to every single board member. The questions that you asked, those are the questions. Mr. Steele, you've had 14 days to communicate with me. If you would like to see the consultants here personally, you could have done that virtually as well.
We communicated last night for over an hour.
Yeah. However, you never mentioned that, sir. You never communicated that one time to me that was a concern, that you wanted to see the individuals here. I would have been more than happy to do that at the request of every single board member.
Well, that has been done for everybody else who has a contract. They come here.
That's not necessarily true. I do think that, I mean, let's just take all this out of it. And I think that we need to hear from Mr. Barnes. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, Mr. Barnes, but I do work with you every day. And
Madam President, I don't think in this issue that we're about to vote on that it's fair for Mr. Barnes to be put in a position, and I hope that the superintendent is not going to try to convince him to speak for or against this measure at all.
I'm not.
Because now I think
No,
we're
sir.
pretty close to the point where we're going to vote. And I think that is the responsibility of the board.
How about this? I just explain my role, and you decide what, you make your decision.
I'm fine
explain my
with
role.
just an explanation.
Okay. Board members, I love North Little Rock. Absolutely love North Little Rock. I'm from Louisiana, but if and I love my community, small town in Louisiana. I'm celebrating my 20-year class reunion this year. Looking forward to going back to my high school, celebrating my 20-year class reunion. But if I could have picked another place to be, it would have been North Little Rock, being a graduate of this community. I love North Little Rock. I'm vested. I learned about North Little Rock as a reporter. I remember covering when we all decided the millage vote to build all the new schools. I was a reporter then, and I remember standing outside of Poplar Street Middle School talking about this new millage. And I remember talking to Mr. Scott Teague and saying, Mr. Teague, you all have an opening for communications. If you ever hear that opportunity, I can apply, let me know. Of course, it didn't happen then, it happened years later. But that was the time that I knew that I wanted to be in school PR. I know I'm a man of faith. I know about calling and all of that, and I covered a story to Indian Hills, and I knew then that I want to do something in school PR. Like TV news I can't really make a change. All I'm doing is just covering shooting here and this here, but I really feel like I can make a difference in school PR. And so that opportunity opened up. I think it was divine that I could do it in North Little Rock School District, the role or the school district that allowed me to see that that's what I wanted to do. Opportunity opened up, and I have given all that I have for this district. I love this district. I know many of your kids and grandkids, and I try to be everywhere because I feel like it's not just this job. It's a calling, and I want to be there. I know that a lot of our students don't have a male figure. I want to be that. My alumni chapter, I went to Grambling. We had high school day. I put on Facebook, hey, I want to see all of these kids go to high school day at Grambling, tour Grambling. I had enough for 90 kids to go free. You know who I made sure got to go free? North Little Rock High School kids, because I wanted to make sure that they went. I said all of that to say, like my dad would say, let me cut across the field. It's a tough job, but I love it. But I can't do it all by myself. You can all decide however you want, but the role of this role, when you have a 24-hour news cycle, which includes social media, when you have a transformative leader and the changes that need to be made, when you have unrealistic demands sometimes, and trying to answer those demands through effective communication. When you have weekly communication that goes out, you know, when I step out of here on a board meeting, I'm writing board briefs right then. Because I'm trying to make sure I have enough time to get everything out. When I do a video here and there, you know, I'm trying to do videos, trying to increase engagement. All of that takes time, and I cannot do it by myself. I cannot do it by myself. As much as territorial as I am and a perfectionist as I am, I cannot do this by myself. Now, you all can decide what method that is of some assistance, some support, but I just cannot do it by myself. I respect you all's decision. I think highly of all of you, but just know that I cannot do this by myself.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Temple?
If we hired assistants for you today, could you manage the communication throughout this whole district? I mean, inside the way the message coming from the superintendent all the way down and back up? I mean, do you feel like you could do that? Or do you feel like you would need help laying out a plan like that?
I can make a plan. It's just I just can't do it by myself. I just need help.
Does that
Madam President.
also include FOIs? Because you have to do FOIs.
Because it takes time to do those. And then
There's
sometimes.
one from 2016 up to 23 that I read.
Yes, ma'am.
2 people asked for those.
And if it has student names.
2016.
And if it has people's names, I have to redact.
Right.
So I have to read
they
through.
said they'd give you a few days. I read it, you had it from 2 people. 2. And I don't know why they needed from 16 up until 23. But my thing as board president, and I'm just a member here, my thing is, I love North Rock. I'm tired of people talking about us, and it's nobody to counteract the talk. We come here as a board and meet. They can get on this right here and talk and say whatever they would like. But then when we say things, they don't get on the
social media.
Yeah, social media to hear what we're saying. It's like everything we're saying is a lie. And it's not. They talk about our schools. They talk about us. I'm better than that. My mom always taught me, if you can't say something good, don't say anything at all. I love my board members, and I don't care what you say, because I can't put them in heaven or hell. But I'm saying to you, you are a blessing to North Little Rock. You can't do everything. And as a board member, I have 5 here, and I heard Mr. Steele what he said, but I understand this in your world of communication. If people didn't say negative things, we wouldn't need anything. But this is America, and they have the freedom of speech. We simply need somebody that once it happens, they counteract it, and you as a communication person, You sent it out. This was an understanding that I have. If I'm not correct, would you tell me right now?
You are correct.
That is correct. And otherwise, I hear about the money, but I also hear about it being drugged in the mud. We are better than North. There are a whole lot of people that love North Little Rock. You just got a few people keep talking, but you can't stop them. But if we get a company in here just to counteract to saying that is not true, then they can get it to you and you can say, hey, this is fine. But we have to have something, Mr. Barnes. Please understand me. I am tired of NLRSD being talked about. I don't get on social media. Don't. But when I get an email and somebody telling me, would you send it to us to let us know how hard you're working? But can you believe, folks, 2016 up to 23, FOI and him, how many hours he got to spend? And you got 2 of them. But anyway, what we need to do is put this to a vote. And would somebody make the motion, or either we can call the roll. It doesn't matter.
Madam President, I do have a question. I have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
Not for us, but maybe for the public. How many people do you work with directly? How many people report to you?
I mean, right now, 0.
Okay. I want to make sure everybody knew that. You know, so at some point in time, it would be helpful to you to have people who report to you at some point to help you with what you're doing.
It would be, yes. It would be beneficial to the district, not just me, to the district.
To the district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Temple.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have another question. Since you spend so much time on FOI and really you were hired to do PR,
Absolutely.
Maybe we need to look at how the school does FOIs. I mean, that
Absolutely.
if you
Or
weren't
someone
doing
who just
FOIs,
does that by the, that's their sole
Right.
responsibility.
If you weren't doing that, what kind of position would you be in to do what you were hired to do?
Absolutely. I could promote the district, what's going on here, and highlighting AP students and choir and all of that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, because I have talked to a lot of people, and I know that some of the information that's out there is just not true. It's not true. But we're also not able sometimes to give a full answer legally. I mean, sometimes your hands are tied on what you can say. So how do we how do you deal with that? You
There
still
are
can't say some things.
There are some things, and I do know that this communications company, they know how to handle those kinds of things, and of course, that's some conversations, deeper conversations with Mr. Beckett, perhaps. I know sometimes there are some people who say things, and it's kind of like, we can't say why they may have been saying this, but I'm not an expert. I don't know everything. I mean, I have to do some research as well, but I just don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do that research.
I understand that, and that's why I was thinking this would be helpful for someone who has that experience to train you, show you, to have a vision of how it ought to run.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, may I have a motion, please?
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the district communication support plan.
Do you have a second?
I second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation for the Woodbury from Dr. Pulaski for Communication Department. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay.
We need a roll call.
Huh?
We need a roll call.
Oh, we can do a roll call, no problem. Miss,
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is carried.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the next action item is 12.3, legal transfers. The superintendent recommends the approval of the legal transfers presented.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the legal transfers.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the legal transfers. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Just see the disposition of minutes.
Okay, what do you have next?
I think a board member will have to say.
Madam, go ahead.
I so move that we accept the disposition of regular board meeting July 20th, August 3rd, and August 10th.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the board minutes on the following dates.
August 10th,
August 10th and August 3rd.
and July 20th.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the last is the consent agenda item. The superintendent recommends the following consent agenda items: 13.1, bank reconciliation; 13.2, net legal balance worksheet; action item 13.3, monthly financial reports; action item 13.4, business office items; 13.5, payment of regular bills; and 13.6, facility use request.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda that includes 13.1 bank reconciliation, 13.2 net legal balance worksheet, 13.3 monthly financial reports, 13.4 business office items, 13.5 payment of regular bills, and 13.6 facilities use requests.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the consent agenda from Dr. Paluski for 13.1 through 13.7. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, so the motion is carried. Acknowledgements, Ms. Temple,
I have none at the moment.
Dr. Redis?
I just want to say again that the convocations, I know this isn't professional, it was off the chain, both sets. Of course, the middle school, we got to work on their excitement. I know they're older, but we got to work on that. But the elementary, oh my goodness. By the time I left there, I needed Bengay and everything too, because but it was wonderful, and kudos. Mr. Barnes, thank you. Just thank you.
Ms. Walker?
Great first week thus far. It's only the 4th day, but everything's been nice and it's been very good. And Mr. Barnes, we're going to get you some help. This is the first step of us getting you some help.
Okay, Ms. McClinton.
I just want to applaud all the employees out there that have made it thus far in the first week of school, because I remember, after having been a teacher for 38 years, what it's like that first week of school and all the little things that happen that everybody has to pitch in and help and get it through and get schedules adjusted and buses running the way they're supposed to run and all of that. So I just applaud all our employees for pitching in and helping get us through this first week.
Mr. Steele?
Thank you, Madam President. I want to also applaud again. I think certainly Mr. Jones has been recognized for his leadership at 7th Street, but I really want to, for all of the teachers who were a part of 7th Street last year, who were given a challenge not to give up on our children, even though the future for them did not look like what they wanted it to look like at the time, they kept coming back. They kept doing what was in their heart to do. And now we're seeing the results. And I just can say it verbally. I know Mr. Tatum said it earlier, but those scores went up in large part from that group of teachers who were at 7th Street last year. Now, most of them are all over the district now, but I certainly want to let them know, from my perspective, that we appreciate everything that they did and everything they continue to do, irregardless of where they are. 7th Street still has major challenges. We're yet to have a theme. This was all about when we start talking about a theme. We don't have a theme yet. Our advisory board has not met. I was hoping we would have a theme before school started, but we still don't have a theme, and we're working on that. On Tuesday night, when we welcomed our new principal, we had over 60 people who were there, and they came ready and willing to work. Many of them are joining the PTA. Many of them are going to be mentors. Mrs. Jones, Racine is helping to pull everybody together and put us on a course where we could start spending more quality time with those young people. It makes a difference. You know, one of the things that sometimes we overlook, and our experts here know, on the test, there are things like attendance, tardiness, that are very, very important. So it's important that we get back to really making our community schools real community schools and inviting people back in. And we're definitely doing that at 7th Street. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. And thank you, Ms. Hatch, who facilitated the convocation. Nobody never recognized her, but she got everybody together, and you all really did a phenomenal job. All of you assistants up there trying to do the land dance and couldn't dance. But it was fun, and I just want to say, I can't mention church and state together. I hope that everybody have a successful year for the students, for the teachers, from all aspects, bus drivers, and I know they have a hard time, but trying to get the first things first. But just give us a chance. Everything will mellow out. And I love you. If nobody told you today, I'll tell you I love you. Keep up the good work. You're doing phenomenal work. The board is proud of you. And what we saw tonight, that makes us happy. And for you to have already 4 people that helping in science, math, English, and Spanish, we got 4 more, so that'll be 8. So the next time, by the end of the year, everybody's going to have an A and a B. Hey, congratulations, elementary and high school and junior high. So have a phenomenal year, and do pass it on. If we have an adjournment?
Madam Chair.
If I may, Madam President, I would like to also acknowledge, number one, as we start a great school year, kicking off, we're off to a great start. I applaud all of our teachers. I applaud all of our administrators. I applaud the support that is going on every single day. Right. I also, Mr. Steele, thank you for that. I do want to recognize Mr. Jones as well. He's he was there at 7th Street, and we appreciate him. And we also appreciate Dr. Hooper. Dr. Hooper served in a lot of capacity as a principal of that school in support with, it was a team of people. I don't know how she did it, and did the deputy superintendent role and all that. Ms. Lightfoot deserves credit, too, for her support of 7th Street Elementary School. I don't want to forget Gary Logan was there. Mr. Logan was there. Mr. Sandy Williams was there also. And I know Mrs. McNulty is here to represent, and Mrs. Edwards is here to represent our coordinators. There was a lot of teachers that were not there at 7th Street, and these ladies were the teachers. And they don't deserve enough credit because they stepped in on top of their roles to make sure that our kids were being educated at a high level. 7th Street's off to the right start, but I want to make sure that their voices are recognized and heard for their dedication to the school system. Let's have a great school year in 23 and 24.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I move that we adjourn.
Second. It has been moved and properly second that we adjourn. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. So the motion is carried. And thank you for your services. Sir,